Right? There we go.
Now it does. Yep.
Ellen and I had lots of practice this week trying to get this going.
Except for on this other thing. What in the world? We did it that one time in our assessments class, and now I can't figure out. I've got it down here on this other, but if I bring it up, then that disappears. Do you see me still?
Was saying that you could, yeah, we still see you. And Ellen, that might be okay. I mean, because as you're talking, your picture is going to pop up and we'll see you. If you're just looking at the document, I mean, you can click over every once in a while to see our smiling faces. But I mean, if you just want to be typing on the document, I think that's fine by us.
Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let me
ask which kiddo are we talking about? Or are we talking about both of them?
You know, I think it's up to you girls. And when I talk to Kimberly, I mean, I don't know if it's good for us to talk about both if you want, you know, to fulfill maybe the time requirement, you know. So, or if you have a preference of Sophie or Jessica, then we can do either or both.
I think one of them got the pronoun wrong on the second character. So that would be a good one to do. I want to say it was Jessica.
Well, yeah, Sophie picked he for all of them, and Jessica picked she for all of them.
Right.
You know, they were different animal characters, and they both did the same thing. They just chose a pronoun and they went with it.
Okay. Well, we can do either one then, just because Sophie or Sophia?
Sophia, sorry. We call her Sophie because I have two Sophias in my class, so she goes by Sophie.
Okay, so Sophie, aka Sophia, aka Sophie,
right.
She, like, I couldn't see the book when she was doing it, so I didn't know that there was a he and a she, like it changed. So I didn't even catch it. But with Jessica, because she was showing the book, I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
So,
right. And they both had conversation at the end. And when I spoke with Kimberly, and she said, you know, maybe having this specific, you know, reading task for them kind of limited this conversation for us to assess them, simply because in a natural conversation, more of those, you know, errors are going to come up. So I caught something even in the conversation for both of them at the end.
Okay.
So,
well, let's have you drive that part then, because you know the kids,
right?
You know, like you're supposed to give us the background, how old they are, what level of, you know, proficiency, blah blah blah.
Right. And was it you, Katrina, that copied the WIDA can-dos into the Google Doc?
I didn't copy.
Was it already there?
No.
Huh?
Oh, that link?
Yeah, the WIDA can-dos. I was going to go ahead and post it in our Google document, and it was already there. I'm like, who was that, Ellen or Katrina?
No, I think it was already there.
Might already have been there. So.
I didn't look close enough. I was just excited to see it.
Okay. So
who should I start with?
I just realized I have Ellen doing two roles here, and Stephanie doing nothing, which is not.
So I'm the director. You're the grammarian, right, Katrina? And
then I'm supposed to be the note taker who can't take note, who can't type on this thing. So I'm going to call the tech center this week and try to figure that out.
Well, you could also download the protocol from the, what do you call that? World Class?
Just download
and just type into that as a document.
Okay.
And then
right now?
Right, yeah. Be able to see it, but that's okay.
Yeah, and then you can like email it to me and I can copy paste it into this Google Doc.
So that's under content, PLC.
Week 2.
Right, or course resources, right, I think. Yeah, PLC protocol forms. There we go.
Week 2.
Okay.
You probably can shrink that one easier than you can shrink everything else.
Right. So, okay. I need to download it. Okay, hold on just a second.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about me getting on video. Every time I do this, my dogs decide it's time to wrestle under my feet. Don't know why.
They love you.
It's like, oh, you've assumed the position. Here we go. Like, go bananas.
Okay, yeah, this one I can't see you guys' names up at the top, of course, but yeah.
Right,
All
but
right.
you can. That's okay.
Okay.
All right. So tell me when I need to type something here. Notes
All right,
here.
so can I go ahead and just give you some background then?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that goes on. Okay, it says identification of can-do, sample, student sample, identification. Yeah, so I guess that's where we write the student. So what should I say?
For
Well,
what?
should I give you some background then on the student, and then we can discuss the sample and then the can-dos maybe? Like where we think it falls?
Isn't that where on that notes here that's where I write some stuff about the student?
Well, as far as background, I don't know if we have to write anything, but we could. Maybe just above that blue box. Because we're not into
above it, not inside the blue box.
No, because we're not into the sample yet.
Okay, so like PLC notes.
Yeah.
Okay. Specific notes. Okay, so all right. On the student gram. Okay. Yeah. So right next to PLC's discussion notes, right?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So you'll tell us about this kiddo.
All right. So Sophie is half Filipino, half Mexican.
Should I use her name?
What's that?
Should I use her name or?
I think if we use first name, it would be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or we could go generic and say student is a, female or whatever.
Sophie is a, go ahead.
She's half Filipino, half Mexican. For the initial kindergarten paperwork that comes in, we do ask the parents what language they speak at home. And on her form, it was just English that was stated. And I thought that was interesting when mom would drop off and I would, hear her speaking in Spanish, to Sophie. And then dad came, I talked to him. He said, oh, yeah, and I saw his file. He's like, yeah, I'm from the Philippines. And I said, oh, I have an aunt from the Philippines. So we just chatted a little bit about that. And I thought, okay, that's interesting that it's solely English. And the parents came to school for a meeting for her twin brother, Elijah. And during the meeting, they asked, so what language is spoken at home? What languages are spoken at home? And Shirley, the mom, immediately said, English. And the dad looked at her, said, Shirley, you speak to them in Spanish all the time. Like, what are you?
Okay, so I should say they speak Spanish at home.
Yes.
Right, okay.
I just thought that was interesting, and it made me, think about our readings that we're doing, to not want to disclose that.
Yeah.
For it to be, just whatever the stigma is attached to that. I don't want them to know my children speak and hear another language. I don't want them labeled as something.
Right.
So I immediately talked to our my ELL co-teacher, and said, hey, I know this didn't come up initially, but I think maybe we should have her and Elijah assessed. And she was going nuts over that and talked to the parents. Anyway, what came about with her level, she's a standard exception. I think per parents' request, mother's passion for not putting any sort of label on her children. So Sophie is not active in the ELL program. But ELL teacher said if she was, she would be a level 2, but she is an exception.
Should I write this down?
You can say Sophie is not active in the ELL program. She would be a standard exception, level 2.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
How old is she?
She is 5. She is 5. No, she's 5.
Did she go to preschool before kindergarten, or is this her first school experience?
She did not go to preschool before this.
Okay.
She has very involved parents, though.
So does her dad speak English then? Like, is he fluent in English?
That's the common language at home.
Oh, okay.
He is fluent in English. You know, his father knows some English but speaks Tagalog, the Filipino language. But the common language is English. I know there's some carryover between Spanish and Tagalog, which I think is interesting. So I'm sure those common phrases and Shirley speaks to the kids in Spanish.
Okay.
I was just thinking with all the exposure and, you know, the interaction that they have, I want them active in the program, but I'm not an expert yet. This is my 4th class. I really don't know how kids qualify and what the assessments go. Sophie's a social kid, though. She's such a doll, and eager to learn. But yeah, good family life, always willing to participate, and just kind of goofy. A specific task for the assignment. Should I go ahead and give that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
So for the past few weeks, 19 lessons, we've been working on good habits of readers. The majority of my kiddos don't know all their
I'm so sorry to bother you. Where should I type this? Should I type this in anywhere?
Probably the very end part, you know, where you say, so this is her retelling or whatever. I think this is for our benefit more than we need to type everything.
Okay, just let me know when to start typing somewhere, okay?
Right. I mean, I don't know if, they want this background information or if the video, they're just going to, Lily's going to gather it from the video. And and that's okay. So the whole framework was just good readers, you know, can retell stories. They can use the strategies that we've learned in order to retell a favorite, beloved old storybook. And so they look at the pictures, they'll talk like the characters, they will, you know, think about the connections they have as they're reading. And so I knew going into this, you know, they weren't all going to be reading since they don't all know their letter sounds at this point. But I still wanted to capture on video, what can they do? Because it's really hard to independently assess 5-year-olds, you know? So it was so important that I had time to just individually, one-on-one, ask them to read me a story. And it was all their choice. I mean, I had, you know, a wide variety of books to choose from that we've been reading. And I thought it was interesting that she chose Mrs. Wishy-Washy. Jessica did that one as well. Very short and sweet. Yeah.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah. Well, and they both cut out things. Anyway, we'll focus on Sophie. So that was all. Can they demonstrate habits of good readers, the strategies that we have practiced? And then I wanted to even capture, and I know you heard this at the end of the video, their belief in themselves as readers. Do they know that they are readers? And it's nice that every single one of my kiddos deeply believes that they are readers now. Was the beginning of kindergarten, even my first year of teaching kindergarten last year. I mean, so many of the kids did not have that belief for so long until they could put sounds together, you know, but they didn't believe they were readers. They can't do it. It was too hard, you know, and this year with using this Lucy Calkins curriculum and focusing on we are readers and what can we do? They genuinely believe that they are. So that was really sweet to see.
Okay.
I'm wondering if there's anything else I can tell you guys about Sophie or any backgrounds or the sample. Should we move in maybe to Weta?
We need to talk about the grammar part.
Okay, do you want to go over just the focus for this week on grammar?
Yep.
I appreciate the cheat sheet. Thank you so much for that.
Could I just let me know when I need to type something and where?
Okay. So we are doing nouns and pronouns this week. We all kind of know the definition. You know, a noun is a person, place, or thing. Sometimes people add idea. In the book, it said or quality. So I thought that was interesting. The important thing to know is that nouns and pronouns both answer the question who or what. Like, what did you eat for breakfast? Cereal.
Right.
Who let the dog out? Jesse, you know.
I was going to say who.
Right. I have a dog by my feet, and so that's kind of where my mind went. So we need to be on the lookout for common ELL errors. One is they just might leave out the subject and just kind of tell you, the example in the book is, my favorite city is Boston, is a very special place to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, or my brother is David, is my favorite brother, or whatever, instead of saying he is. So they might leave out the subject pronoun. Then the one that we're probably going to see, because we've previewed this, is the confusion of he and she, or the inconsistent use. Incorrect pronoun reference is another one we might see, where, for example, if your noun is plural, like cars, and then they use a singular pronoun, it, cars are important, people need it instead of them in today's world. A double subject pronoun, and I hear this a lot with my around 2nd, 3rd grade kids. My sister, she is a good swimmer. So you don't need that extra word. An unnecessary object pronoun, a computer is something that all students need it. So a computer is something that all students need, or all students need it, but it kind of gets smushed together.
Right.
And then the plural definite pronouns, everyone were very happy. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I don't remember seeing anything like that. I think mostly for this sample, we see the he and she.
Right.
But if you catch something else.
Yeah, in the conversation at the end, where I was asking Sophie, you know, if she believes she's a reader, and she did, and then I saw her use, I heard her use the indefinite pronoun everything, or there was the intention of everything. And so I'd be curious to hear what you have to say about this, Katrina, because I don't know if it was speech or if it was knowledge of the word, but I'm not, you know, totally comfortable using it. When I said, well, what do good readers do? Yeah, or how do you know you're a good reader? And she says, I know utter things.
Yeah.
So it was other things or everything. And I said, I'm sorry, what was that? And I had to ask her for clarification. I felt bad. And she said, utter things. And so I was just wondering if it was a use of indefinite pronoun or not.
I thought I heard her say everything, but with some speech sound differences.
Right.
If she put that S on the end of it and she said if I thought I heard her say everything and she said everythings, then that's like a plural that doesn't exist. Because everything is already hold on, I got to look it up. Everything is already an indefinite pronoun by itself, and there's no plural for it.
Right.
We don't say nothings or someone's. But yeah, I thought it was just a pronunciation thing. I didn't hear other things. I felt like she was saying, oh, because I know everything.
Right.
So.
Right.
The intent. I'm just not sure if that's the way it came out.
Can you say that again? Because it jumped.
Was that your puppy growling? Is that what
yes?
Okay.
And I had to lean over and push him away because, yeah, I'm still at it.
I think the intent was, I know everything. But again, I don't know if that was, I don't know, if she knew how to use it, or if she knew there was a word like that, but she said utter teeth.
Right.
But I think the intent was, I mean, she said it with such confidence that I think that was what she was going for.
Let's see here.
name is Sophie.
Here, hold on.
They be quiet.
They're quiet, but do they have to use their voice to read?
Yes.
And who do they talk like?
The characters.
And what do they look at?
I think I went too far. Hold on.
I
Slightly.
know editing.
You
There
know
it was.
what?
I know editing.
You know everything about books. What are some things that
See, I
good
didn't hear an
readers
S
do?
on the end. I heard like
Okay, maybe that
other.
wasn't.
Can I ask you a question? Sophie, are you a reader? Yes, you are a reader. How do you know that you're a reader?
Because I know editing.
You know what?
I know editing.
You know everything about books. What are some things that good readers do?
They read and do editing.
And what else do they
It
do?
sounded more there.
They be quiet.
What was that, Ellen?
It sounded more like everything
Yeah,
there.
she's pronouncing it other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Other
Yes.
thing. So that sounds like second language influence to me.
Right,
But I
right,
think
right,
her
right.
intent is everything.
That is definitely her intent.
That is so
And I
cute.
thought, I know, as I was asking her more questions, she said, they talk like the characters, plural.
Yeah.
And I said, what else do they do? And they look at the picture.
Hmm.
So I thought it was interesting that in one case, there are multiple characters in the book.
Yeah.
And in the other, it was picture. It was singular, which is fine if you're paying attention to the page. But
Yeah.
she chose one plural and one singular, which I think is fine.
Which probably indicates that it's emerging.
Right.
That morpheme is emerging, which that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they finally quit. One passed out on the floor and one is staring at me because he wants to get in the chair. Hi. What do you want?
So then I have a question then for you. Because I'm still not struggling with this, but it took us a couple tries to listen in to Sophie's pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
Where's the line between understanding the correct pronoun and definite pronoun to use, and pronunciation? Like, how do I support students in that area then? Like, if she did intend for everything, but was saying other things, is that just the modeling as we've been reading about? You're not like correcting, per se,
Right.
but.
Well, TH is one of those sounds that most languages don't have, except English does.
Right.
So like for Spanish, you'll get like a D or like a flap substitution for that.
Brother.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And the other thing is that even for native English speakers, TH is one of the last sounds to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't expect it in a kindergartner. You would expect, some kindergartners can, but you wouldn't expect all kindergartners to have it. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like I've got kids right now, I have a third grader. She's been working on TH for over a year. And she's just about got the hang of it. So we're moving on. But, she's been in second grade. So the other thing is that Sophie seemed to me, her pronunciation sounded very adult-like, like adults that I've known that come from Filipino or Spanish backgrounds, Hispanic backgrounds. It sounds very familiar. It's kind of like that incorrect, but we don't correct it. Like we know they mean pictures, or we know, they mean everything. And so we don't, freak out about, oh, stick your tongue between your teeth and blow, we just don't do that. But I wonder with her, if English is like the common language at home, but her mom is not proficient and her mom pronounces things this way, then that could be where it's coming from also. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely.
So
Completely makes sense.
And it's going to be harder because the mom is, if she's saying it like that, and even if the dad were to, then it's going to be a little harder probably because she hears it that way all the time.
right.
So then I am going to be the person that tells them to put their tongue between their teeth and
Right.
say Thursday. Like, thank you.
Right. And there's
Not Tuesday. TH makes
well, and it's
feel the cool air. Feel the cool air as you do it.
right, exactly.
And try not to spit.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying some kids can't get it until later.
Right.
Just physically or they can do it if they're really concentrating, but as soon as they're playing with their toys, it goes away. Which honestly is kind of what's happening with my third grader. She can do it if she's reading sentences, if she's looking at pictures or whatever. As soon as she starts having a casual conversation, she goes back to F.
Oh.
So that's always kind of the tricky part, is getting that carryover at the end. So.
Now, on the WIDA can-dos, where do you think she falls in? You said emerging, more level 2. For this,
what are we? I need to ask you first. What are we looking at? Reading or speaking?
I know it's tricky. I don't know if this leans itself more towards speaking, just because, you know, it is a retell. You know, they're not actually reading. I don't know.
I mean, on the other hand, it was a reading task.
Right.
So I looked at speaking and reading on the WIDA. I printed them.
Me too, because I didn't have the
I'm in another tab, so.
There you go. So for speaking, I put her at a level 4 expanding for retelling familiar stories through a series of pictures. That was just my impulse. Like, I didn't go through and like really analyze, but I just kind of went with what is my first reaction. But then for reading, I had her at a level 2 emerging. I felt like she had the level 1 matching icons and symbols to corresponding pictures. Like, you know, she could identify pig and duck, you know, that kind of stuff. But then level 2 is, it says acting out familiar rhymes from text or read aloud, or text read aloud, or chanted in small groups. And I felt like she wasn't acting out, but she was kind of reciting, you know, like the whole wishy-washy, you know, it's like she looks at the picture, here's the mud, here's the pig, you know, and she kind of knows what goes along with that. I didn't see any evidence of identifying familiar words in context.
But there was recognizing persons and settings.
Right. So I have kind of,
So
what do you think, Ellen, for reading?
I was thinking in that I had her in that developing the level 3, recognizing persons and settings in illustrated text, read aloud. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I think because she recognized, you know, when they went in the tub or when they went away, and she was able to, you know, recount that accurately, and that she wishy-washy went in the house, you know, I would say that she is more developing.
Okay.
The only reason that I would disagree, I guess, with that is because I didn't see evidence of identifying words. And another group, they're all mushing together now because, like you said, this is like my 4th class. But in another group, we talked about being conservative.
Right.
And kind of erring on the side of giving a lower rating so that we weren't overestimating ability.
Right. I was probably in assessments class, and I always got overruled because I wanted to go lower, and they were always like, nope. Come on.
That's funny.
Are they really showing this? And I'd always get outvoted. So we did the opposite of your group then, Katrina.
I mean, we don't have writing or listening, so we don't really need to worry about those 2 ratings.
Right.
So should I type WIDA can-dos under recount, reading, level 2 emerging?
Well, reading we said level 4.
I mean, okay, reading we
speaking
or
we
speaking,
said 4.
Speaking level 4. I'm sorry.
So I need to put both of those, right?
Okay. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, let me get that right here. Oh, that's the wrong one.
What would you girls have to say about the omission of the title that both she and Jessica did? That they just called her Wishy-Washy and never said Mrs. Wishy-Washy.
Yeah, it's kind of like they didn't give the whole name. I wonder if they don't see it as important, you know, because kind of the refrain of that book is wishy-washy, wishy-washy.
Right. I just know when I did the read aloud, you know, you have to be rhythmic. And I would always say, along came Mrs. Wishy-Washy, you know, and we'd always say the whole class, if you looked at the other videos, they, you know, the ones who did it, they didn't omit that Mrs. You know, it was a big part of their reading. And I just thought it was interesting that both girls called her Wishy-Washy. Wishy-Washy went in the house. And Wishy-Washy, just look at you, you know, like I thought they just a matter of importance. They didn't feel that it was important, or?
Okay, so that, I'm sorry, girls. So that was speaking level 4 and reading level 2, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And what would you like me to put down about that? Anything specific?
Well, it says, what do you see this student doing with language? So are we going to go ahead and write like from the actual descriptors?
Probably, huh? Should I go ahead and say speaking level 4, retelling familiar stories? Is that what we said?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then reading level 2, acting out familiar rhymes from text or read aloud or chanted in small groups. I can just picture your class going. And then
Oh, that was one of our lessons one day, is teaching connecting words. So when you turn the page, and they all did this movement, and then, so it's so cute when I'd walk around the room to see them reading, you know, and their partners, they turn the page, and then they're so animated, probably because I am, but that's what's being modeled for them.
Right. Well, one of the things I remember, this is a little off topic, but one of my professors in speech language pathology, I think it was our voice disorders class. When you're diagnosing a voice disorder, you do all kinds of goofy things with your client, like you might have them like sing a scale as high up as they can, or you're measuring how long they can sustain phonation, right? So you have them take a deep breath and then they have to go, and they just hold it as long as they can. You have to model it first. And one of the things he said is, whatever you do, they're going to do exactly what you do. And so I got in for a voice assessment, and I kind of abbreviated my example. And so the client didn't go all out.
Oh,
because they did everything. If you do some random movement in the middle of it, they'll do that too, because they think it's part of, you know, what you ask. So it's really funny how imitation is so strong.
Oh, it is. Did you see in Jessica's video when she was first starting out, she had to hold it up and turn it? I said, no, you can leave it right in front of you.
Okay, girls, so on that WIDA, all I did was write the levels and those parts. That's it, right? Under that part.
Yeah.
Should I do anything else? Okay.
Yep. I mean, if we wanted to address why she's not quite a level 3, you know, like she does recognize some characters, but because she's getting the pronouns wrong, or even the title of wishy-washy, you know, she just was not as strong maybe to be developing. We could probably
say that again, Stephanie. We felt that she was not a level 3 because
developing, because her recognition of characters was not as consistent. I don't know if that's a good phrasing, or was not as solid.
Okay.
And you could say, i.e., you know, for example, the omission of Mrs. and just errors in he or she with the animals.
The omission of Mrs. and what now?
And confusion of he and she, or what did you say?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I type fast, but not that fast, I guess. But.
I would also want to add that we did not see evidence, and I'm not saying she doesn't have this, but that she's not identifying the familiar words.
Okay, so we did not see evidence of familiar words?
That she recognizes them.
Okay.
I mean, she might, you know.
Right, but not in the sample.
But not in the sample, right. And that's what we have to work with is the sample. Which is always hard for me, like when I'm assessing a kid and I've heard them use something properly in conversation and then they mess it up in the assessment. And I'm like, well, it's the assessment. I can write it in my narrative, you know, although the student didn't do XYZ during the assessment, he has been observed to XYZ in therapy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what about speaking? Like we didn't see
Are we
evidence.
still under the WIDA part?
Yeah.
Are we still under the WIDA?
Yeah, just the other
Okay.
key uses. We didn't see, she wasn't, well, I don't know. It says rephrasing. I don't think she was rephrasing. I think she was retelling. But rephrasing
Where are
is the
you
next
at?
step.
Where are you at?
Level 5 bridging.
Level 5 bridging. Under reading?
Speaking. So we don't think
All right.
she's there because she's not rephrasing, or at least not intentionally rephrasing.
Right, not intentional.
Right. Anything about that, or?
I mean, we could say why she's not quite that level 5 because she did more of a retell than rephrasing the events. Just a simple sentence about that, I think, would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, say that again, because she's not
rephrasing the events in this story.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
And now, what do you think would be some good supports then for Sophie and for Jessica to help them with their errors, the confusion around he or she that they're making?
And where do you want this? That goes somewhere on?
Did we do that last on the instructional next?
Yeah, that's last. So we still need to say use the full text to identify any errors that the student is making as it relates to nouns and pronouns.
Okay.
So I wrote all of that stuff up there under the WIDA, so now I can come down here.
So now we notice that she's not using the title as part of the proper noun.
Are you typing that, Katrina?
Yeah, I'm just typing my notes. I don't know, I guess.
It's probably a good idea, huh, in case I don't get it all, but I'm trying to, so sorry.
Well, what I want to do is take yours and copy it in here. And
okay.
But
Great.
I'm writing it too, I guess.
Okay.
But not all of it,
so
just some of it.
I just wrote under that identification of specific grammar errors related to nouns and pronouns, we noticed that she is not using the title as part of the proper noun.
Right. And then the other one, Stephanie, you said Sophie chose he for all the characters.
Correct. And I think both, gosh, what's the order? The cow and the duck are she's, and the pig is a he.
Okay.
Okay. So should I say the cow and the duck are?
I would just say she's using one pronoun for everybody.
Right.
Which I see that a lot in my English language learners, and it seems to be a red flag for young kids with language disorders, because my very first client did not have a good grasp on he and she, and we worked on that for a whole semester.
Oh, wow.
So I have some specific and concrete ideas, but they may be too low, for kids who don't have language disorders. Does that make sense?
Right.
I was working with a kid who, had a pretty significant language disorder. Okay. And we had to start from the ground up.
Wow.
I'm wondering how that is in some languages. I don't know about all the languages, but I know in German and in Spanish, you've got la and el for he and she.
Right.
You've got
ella.
What it is in German, I forget. But you've got 3 different in German. But you would. But I'm not sure in like Chinese and Japanese and all those. So.
Well, this is why when I have a kid who I know the home language is Spanish, if they're not getting he and she, I'm very concerned, because I know that they differentiate in
Right.
Spanish.
Right.
Right.
So do we want to play with, oh, well, I don't know. Sorry, Stephanie, you're supposed to be running the meeting.
No. I think it's good for us to be, kind of, I mean, that's how teachers work when we come together, right? We're like bouncing ideas. We're talking about our personal experiences. What do we do with this? I mean, I'm trying to look at it through the lens of kindergarten, right? And I'm thinking maybe in literacy centers, I can have a specific target group. If I have like these sequence cards, they're just 3 cards you put together to make the story match.
Yep.
Maybe the focus could be like, what is he doing in this picture? Or where is she going? And have that sort of specific focus for that task.
I have a few things too. Are we going down now? Because those were basically the errors, right? That I typed. Those
I don't think there were any other errors.
I don't think so.
Indefinite pronoun to everything. We think it's more of a speech thing, or right? Than
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because I have a few things too. Whenever you guys want to hear, I mean, it's not that I know everything. I just,
Ellen, you know everything.
I
Tell
was
us.
just going to say that.
Hey, look at me. I have to type on this other Google thing. I'll try to figure that out. I promise. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I thought it was all ready. But, those grammar slots, I was wondering, for nouns, you could have words and pictures to choose from to fill it in, and then they could change it. Now, which one would you use? Okay, like Sally is, blank is playing in the snow. So who is playing in the snow? Sally. Okay, is Sally would you use a he or a she in her place?
Mm-hmm.
And you can have a little picture, especially for kindergartners or for ELL students, have a picture too to show that it's a female or a male or whatever. Like those grammar slots. And then
I love those grammar slots. Those are awesome.
Katrina?
Do I? I'm probably going to plan. I'll tell you what I did with my little guy. He was 5, my first client. English was his home language, so there was no ELL. But we started at the very basics with sorting boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had little pictures, and I know that like it's a politically charged with transgender and blah blah blah. But for the sake of a 5-year-old, we're keeping it simple.
And you teach them the pronoun, right?
Right.
They need to learn the pronoun.
And so, I bought little like Playmobil figures, or Fisher-Price figures, whatever plastic dolls you have. I like plastic because they can be sanitized. And I mean, we started out at a very low level, sorting boys and girls.
So would you want me to write that down as one of the ideas?
Well, I think we have to decide what we want to put there.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
See, and I don't know if Jessica and Sophie are at that level. They can distinguish, differentiate between boys and girls. I don't think they're at that level.
And then we started labeling them, this is a boy. Do we say he or she? But even that was too much to have that choice. So we were sorting them into he, she. Then I taped the pictures that we had been using on the bottom of bowling pins. He would roll the ball, and whatever pin fell down, he would have to go and grab it, look at the picture on the bottom, tell me if it was a boy or a girl, and then the only thing I wanted was the pronoun. So the sentence was the same every time. Think sentence stems or sentence frames. All he had to do was either say he fell down or she fell down. That was it. And later we went to, like I taped him to the bottom of puzzle pieces, and he would take out the puzzle piece and look at it. Then we started getting it a little harder, where the sentence frame was he, or, blank has blank hair. And so I colored all these things, different color hair, yellow hair, brown hair, red hair, black hair. So then he had to come up with 2 things cognitively, whether it was a he or a she and what color hair, but he didn't have to worry about the rest. And by the end of the semester, we could just like play with the people and talk about what they were doing. And he was able to say, she is swinging, he is sliding, whatever. But we really had to drill he and she.
The boy is he and the girl is she, right?
Yeah. And I have a first grader right now who wants to use he for everything. And she's also working on the present progressive verbs and identifying those. So I've got all these pictures of girls doing different things, reading, skating, running. And so the sentence underneath every picture, she is reading, she is running, she is singing. And we're just drilling that in. But these are kids with language disorders.
Right.
So
I know, and I'm thinking we're so pressed for time as a halftime kindergarten class.
Oh my gosh, your halftime?
Oh, your halftime? You have 2 kindergarten classes?
I don't, because I'm staying home with the babies for the other half. This is my second
good.
year. I'm going from 5th grade to kindergarten.
When I went from second
I
to
can be a mom the majority of my day. This is what I am doing.
Oh, wow.
I will not live in kindergarten by any means. They are cute as all get out, but I need to teach more. And I know that sounds awful, but
No.
this is fine for now. This is great for now. And, you know, they're learning that. It's wonderful. But I'm always faced, and I think all teachers are, just the balance, the juggling of prioritizing, what's really going to benefit these kids. So that's why I was thinking of being able to target them in like a literacy center group. But now I'm even thinking, after Katrina's examples, maybe even as part of our, and yours, Ellen, too, maybe as part of our just morning circle together. I mean, you could ask for that day what color shirts everyone is wearing, and we're focused on these pronouns. So instead of saying James, we're going to say he is wearing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's just kind of like an oral piece to start out with.
Yeah.
Or even let's pick an action game. You had the bowling thing, but what is she doing? She is, if we're out at recess for a little bit, I'm just trying to think how to throw in that practice without it being, because it's not something everybody needs, but it's definitely good to give that modeling and that practice for that skill.
You just reminded me, do you remember that old song, the do as I'm doing, and you kind of choose a child and you ask them to do an action?
No, like Katrina. No.
Spinning. And you're like, okay, do as I'm doing, follow me. Do you know this?
No, it's not familiar. I have another song, but yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So then you have the one kid spinning or whatever, and then you ask somebody else, what is Jessica doing?
She
use he or she to tell me what Jessica is doing.
Good idea. That's
I
good.
think that's good. Thinking about that kindergarten developmental level, something incorporating action, something quick orally that they can do.
And that total physical response part that we learned about.
Right. That's a good idea, especially when you're time crunched. Because I had like 5 steps, like first make sure they know the difference between a boy and girl, which they do, through pictures and stuff. Then the second step was to use he and she in short phrases. Get a picture of a boy and girl objects. Ask who wants the blank, he wants the blank, or whatever, or she wants it. The third step was pictures of boys and girls doing something like dancing, running, and then they would say, you'd say who was dancing. That's kind of a similar thing. And then the fourth step was use he and she when describing storybooks or making up stories. So now make activities more difficult. Get a story that has a boy and girl characters. Have students describe what's happening in the picture. Make sure they use correct pronouns in describing the characters. And then the last one was that correct them in the conversational speech, which we already know. Repeat errors back as a question, like she is running, he is walking. Kind of ask if a person is a boy or a girl, and then ask which pronoun should they use. Kindly say, oh, you mean she is happy? And then it says fix the error without pointing it out, just like we've learned. Yes, she is at her grandmother's house or whatever. So I know that was a lot. I just kind of crammed in real fast, but some of those could be done story and just asking questions. So instead of having to cut out a bunch of pictures and
have you guys talked about like errorless learning? Okay, I can see from the look that it's like, what?
You said like there's no such thing as mistakes type of growth mindset. Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of like, if I showed a picture and I said to a child, she is running, and then immediately, who is running? You know, so that there's like no gap, because you kind of want them to, who is, like, I would even say it first, she is running, who is running? And then you want it right back from them, she is running. But you also gave me another idea, Ellen. I don't know what you said that sparked it, but Stephanie, what if you had like little, I don't know, if you had objects, or if you had like brown paper bags with objects in them and you kind of passed them out to kids, and then you said, okay, James, you know, open your bag, and James takes out a frog, and you say to everybody, who has a frog?
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, he does, she does.
That's good.
I mean, because if you were doing
stuff, I think everyone's a kinesthetic learner. So if we can add that piece to it, that's going to help, you know, ingrain it in them.
And if it's, I mean, if it linked into your vocabulary, like, I don't know, if you were doing forest animals or sea animals or something, you know, and let's do sea animals, each bag had a walrus, a dolphin, a whale. You know, who has a whale? He does. Who has a dolphin? She does. I don't know.
Yeah, or if there's multiple, then we get into they, right? We can use that. Right. Okay, I like that. I like that.
So,
see, it's so good to get together and talk with other teachers about, you know, problem solving and what can you do, you know?
Well, you were talking about you were talking about like a center. Like, what if you made she and he, I don't know if those are early sight words or if what.
Right.
What if you had, like, I don't know, a bucket of Fisher-Price people, dollhouse people, and then you had a bucket and it said she with a small picture of a girl, and another one that said he with a small picture of a boy, and they just had to come dump out the bucket, and then while they did it, you know, put the girls here, she, he, she,
right,
he.
that's a quick.
And it would be an independent activity. There's no opportunity for error correction.
Right. And I think that's a nice way to start, maybe, you know, just to make sure that they are clear on that, you know, as a way to scaffold this pronoun, you know, lesson, correction, whatever we want to call it.
The literacy piece in, you know, that these words look a little different.
Right. That's not on their very first couple sight word lists. I'll tell you that much. I think we have 6 lists, and he's probably about list 3, 4 maybe. And I'm not even sure if she is on there, but it will be. It will be this year. Girls, is there anything else we need to fill out?
Well, we just need to, I didn't fill anything out yet on that because we didn't decide which we were going to put down there.
Oh, I would put quite a few. I would put multiple ones that we were discussing.
Okay. So you're the kindergarten teacher. What do you want to use?
I like them all. I would love the, can I say that? I love the he and she sort of people. Just to, I mean, as the beginning, as the baseline for this.
Using.
We can do people.
Plastic people?
Yeah, plastic people. I can do paper, you know, like make copies of people and just cut them out, you know, however it's easy.
And I'm going to say and pictures.
Right.
Okay.
And they can do that sort. I also think the items in a bag, being passed around and asking, you know, who has the frog, who has the, you know, or what does James have, you know, using he or she, he has.
Asking what each student has using he or she.
I think, Ellen, you were talking about stories or even pictures. So I'd love to sequence story cards that I have. If I use the story cards and then ask them what he is doing in the pictures or in the story, what is she doing in the picture? Because it's a very specific beginning, middle, end type thing. If, you know, he is going fishing or if she is making a snowman. So I think I'd like to utilize those sequence cards.
Okay.
With focus on he or she.
Yeah, and then starting with
story sequence
too, that we discussed.
Okay. And
putting in some sort of action, game, movement. What is he doing? What is she doing? With a chant. I'll have to look up songs.
Okay. Anything else?
I would love to just, obviously I'm going to reassess them again with their storytelling skills. So at a later date with the seesaw video and see what it is. Okay, I'll be right there. What it is that they're, have they improved now? Mm-hmm. Are they still making those mistakes, or are they much more?
So like progress monitoring to see.
Progress monitoring, right.
So what about addressing the Mrs. piece?
Okay.
Do we need to?
Right. They don't call me Ortiz Gray. They always say Mrs. Ortiz Gray. So that's interesting.
So you could start with that. You call me Mrs. Ortiz Gray. This, this person is Mrs. Wishy-Washy.
Right.
So how would you write that down then? Work on
titles and names.
And names or in names?
In names.
Okay. Okay. Such as Mrs.
Well, like using,
or even the specials team. Anyone they encounter, right?
Yeah. Do they have specials in half day?
We're going to see for art today. We're going to see Mr. Thompson. Or
the breakfast, the cafeteria people, yeah. Right? Okay. Anything else?
I think that's good. I think we really did a nice.
I think that was
there.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else pertinent? It says.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I think we're good.
I might say that, part of the reason that we're not using, like in the instructional next step, some of the suggestions were to take out a highlighter and highlight the nouns, or to use the slots. Mm-hmm. Since these kids are not, no offense, true readers or writers at this point.
Right.
We need to stay really physical and like that mimicry, the call and response, the songs and the chants.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might want to note that we're not choosing reading and writing ways to address these errors because these are kindergarten students.
Okay.
Right. And developmentally, that's something that they're not ready for. That right. I don't think they would make that connection just yet.
Say that again. I'm sorry. We aren't choosing reading and writing. What? I'm so sorry.
Because they're not developmentally to that point.
Okay. Did you say though reading and writing prompts or?
Scaffolds maybe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Because they are not developmentally ready, or?
Yeah. Or they're not yet working at this level.
I thought we didn't have enough material for this conversation.
For a minute.
Long.
So Katrina, you said because they're not yet ready for.
They're not working in reading and writing yet. So
yeah, okay.
So the errors need to be addressed. In the listening and speaking domains.
Mm-hmm.
And supported.
You said with mimicry, with physical actions.
Let's see.
You could say visuals, right?
Modeling and imitation, visuals. Just said another one. Oh, songs
Songs
and
and
chants.
Songs and chants, yeah. But mimicry and imitation are basically the same, am I right?
Yeah, well, I put modeling and imitation because mimicry
Okay.
reminds me of bird calls. Because modeling is what we do. We're the model, and then they imitate us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're
Gotcha.
like, she is dancing, who is dancing? And then they imitate, she is dancing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
All
Ellen,
right.
do you want to send it over and I'll type it into this document and then send
I
it
sure
back to
will. You
both
can
of
just
you
make
for editing?
you can just cut and paste.
Okay. And I'll send
Yeah.
it back to both of you for editing in case we
Okay.
think something else that we recorded.
Right.
Right.
And then
Know about
I'm
the
going
whole video thing. So I'm probably gonna just do an oral recording of it, even if I do it on my phone, and then just upload that so they have the oral recording.
Okay, so I will take this and post it on there, and then Katrina, you'll send that to me. And do you want me to post the document, or do you want to post it?
Just send me what you have and then I'll copy paste and send it back.
Okay, and then I'll post it on there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then
Okay.
Ellen, you're uploading the video to what?
Yeah. I'm just going to
As soon as
click.
you shut off, Ellen, and you can shut off now. The live.
Okay, I'll get the
'Cause then
live
it
off.
gives time